This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater. And, yeah, Ninja Terminator. It's certainly a movie. Directed by Godfrey in 1985, it opens with three ninja masters rebelling against their leader, each stealing a piece of a golden statue, which, when they all come together, makes its owner impervious to harm. Naturally, their old leader wants the pieces back, sending out some goons and killing off one of the masters. This alarms the other two, not only because of the danger to their own lives, but to the sister of that master. As one of the former masters enlists a warrior under his employ to watch over the woman, he and his old comrade are set up against each other, though they do uncover the truth eventually, but that's mostly because their story actually has less screen time than the supposed subplot going on here. Yeah, this movie is almost obviously two movies in one, maybe more obviously than Robo-Vampire was, but I've done whatever I can to repress that movie from my memory. At the very least, this film does at least have more of a comprehensible story going on here, but again, that's more because it sticks to the pre-existing and reused movie footage that focuses on the one guy protecting the sister, if she even is somebody's sister. Whatever the case, it doesn't make what we get from it any better, since it's still made to piggyback off the established story, rather than be whatever it was meant to be in the first place. It does at least offer some more interesting moments, making up the bulk of the film's action and fight scenes across a number of locations, while the story of the two surviving ninja masters generally sticks to the same 2 or 3 spots up until the ending. Even so, no matter how much of either story is showcased, it doesn't actually result in anything satisfying. Not only are the individual stories hindered by a loss of completeness, the seams between what is new and what is not are too obvious and distract from any possible cohesion on your part. Plus, the new story is far from impressive, written around what is visible in the pre-existing movie to account for all of this new stuff, and never once actually feeling like a larger narrative. Needless to say, this lack of connectivity extends into the actual production as well, which is hardly a surprise since, again, this film is 2 movies in one, and the visual designs of both would have always clashed. Again, very little is done to try and make these consistent, resulting in different visual approaches to the ninja story and the bodyguard story, especially in their respective action scenes and how they show off the fights. The first story has more attention towards speed and choreography, with a fast pacing that's more attuned to stylism and fun, while the second story uses its action scenes more as story events which have some effect on the narrative, rather than simply appearing during an event, playing out and moving on as if they never actually happened. Cinematography isn't worth talking about much because of the separate filmmaking styles, though I will say that the second story does have some more creative shot work than the first. Editing is, again, pretty bad across the board, though I ought to mention here that the ninja story repeats its own footage from time to time, and not at all in a clever or stealthy way. There's no indication of any other sense of creative design or direction in either story, which is a bit more surprising since I would have assumed that the bodyguard story would have had some elements of a personal style, But I guess the lack of this explains why the movie was forgotten in the first place. Ultimately, the whole film is lacking in any real sense of merit or accomplishment, no matter how hard the filmmakers tried to create something out of nothing. The way I see it, they should have either made a cheap but fun action movie without padding on all the other footage, or they should have just made nothing at all. Ninja Terminator, Godfrey Ho, 1985. 1 star. I don't recommend seeing this movie at all. I don't even know if I could recommend whatever the Bodyguard movie is. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Honestly, I'm not sure what else can be said about this movie. Well, other than how the ninja story has a guy who uses a Garfield phone for whatever reason. I wouldn't expect the movie to explain why, but you'd think they could have just borrowed something less goofy.